the agenda up?
The agenda's up.
All right, and I have an agenda. I wanted it out, so I'm good. When I get to the minutes, we'll approve.
I'll get those in a couple.
Have you
I'll
got
get
the
those in a
minutes?
couple minutes.
All right, okay. So anyway, let's get back to the biggest thing before we get to the four issues we have with the league. We can't, as you know, on the same day that FISA said to close down, we closed down as of midnight. I think there was a game. Sure, if I'm not mistaken, it was a game somewhere that day. I don't know if they played it or not. That's why I waited till midnight to get that.
Yeah,
one.
I told them that they could go ahead and play it. And
Yeah.
I never heard differently.
Okay.
So,
So we'll put it,
Uh-huh.
if they have a result, we'll put it in there, but I don't want any results after that. Now that means that everything is frozen. All the standings are frozen as of midnight that night. If you didn't get the game in, it doesn't look like you're going to, and we'll have to deal with any ties, one by one. However, I think, Greg, here's the big thing. FYSA is not going to return any of the money that people send in for any of these tournaments. Am I correct in assuming that?
You're talking about commissioners, presidents, and state cup.
Yeah, well, commissioners is done, right, or just about.
Commissioners Cup
They've
is
had
this weekend was going to be the final.
It's still going. Yeah.
well, that's what I'm saying, but I mean, much has been played. President's Cup. How much play are we into in the President's Cup? Do you know?
I think we're in the round of 8.
Halfway through, down to the final 16.
We're in the round of 8.
Okay, so again, everybody that put in money at least has played and potentially could have been knocked out already. So they got. I don't think they're gonna return that more, right? I don't think it makes any sense, but that's okay.
Well, they talked about it.
How about the state? Well, if they do, they do. That's great. How about the state cup? How much of that has been played?
I don't think we're into the final 16 yet.
Okay, so some has been played.
Right.
I know U13 girls haven't started.
Okay, yes, Greg, we should check that. My point in this is, for the winners of our premier division, we will go on a case-by-case basis, and if they've got proof that they paid these fees, we'll reimburse them for them, and we will honor
Right.
standings as they are. I think, is anybody got an objection to that, or another idea?
No. No.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so that's going to be, there's going to be people complaining that they taught and there's going to be a lot of wrangling, I'm sure. And David, you and a lawyer, we're probably going to need you in some of this, or Solomon, so we can cut the baby in half. But I think if this group can't make a decision on something like that, then we ought to just throw our hands up and give this up. So we'll look at it on a case-by-case basis. That's all I can figure, right?
As far as the entry fees and all that stuff,
Yeah.
well, that's not up to us.
I said, we don't have that, do we?
No.
What is that?
Well, what I'm getting at is, okay, depending on whatever it is, we'll pay out whatever it is for the premier winners to attend one of the state
Yes.
state compositions.
If the state comes in and says, look, we're returning all the money.
Oh, I see.
My point. Where were we going to return it? You didn't get a full tournament. I don't think they're gonna, but I'm saying.
Well, they may prorate it. They were seriously thinking about it though, Paul.
Well, that's a cluster, isn't it? But that's okay. We'll keep an eye on that. We're committed to paying them, and if there's any adjustment, we'll worry about that later, huh?
Right.
I mean, we can't.
Well, they ought to prorate it.
They probably should. I don't know if they can, Merritt. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they're capable of that.
Well, you can divide it by the number of the games, so.
Is there anybody that really can come up with that kind of elegant thought over there?
Well, maybe not over an FYSA, but I sure could. in a hurry.
FYSA can't come up with that,
That's correct.
I
That's
mean,
correct, because they seem to get stuck in the mud almost everywhere. And this thing, really, you're up to your shoulders, right? because some have played matches, some have had a lot of matches, some are out already. What are you going to prorate on the ones that are out? No, okay. So the guys that they got knocked out already, they don't get anything back. And then my point is, if you're going to prorate it, right, you have to assume as to where you would, how many more games you're going to play. And of course,
Right.
that's why
Right.
you play. That's why you play the game, is to figure out how many more you're going to play. Right?
Paul, they got $4 million in trust somewhere,
Well,
and we got a national emergency, and they can't come up with something. I would have a hard time with that.
I'm saying they can't figure. Personally, I think they would have an incredibly difficult time having an equitable way to judge who gets what.
Well, you know what? And like I said, they're sitting on a pile of money over there. They
It's
just
not
ought to
the-
reimburse it
Not
all.
the money. I think it's the elegant. You're
Hey,
going to
Mayor,
have to go over there.
We
with a
were
pen.
sitting on a pile of money until this Weston thing came about.
But we're going to need to send someone like Alan and Les over there with a pencil and paper and show
Well,
them.
I'm just saying, up until the Weston deal and another one, we're getting hit very, very hard.
I thought that the insurance companies were on the hook for that, Greg.
Well, they are to a point. How much do you think it's going to cost us for insurance next year?
Well, they're going to pass that on to us, though, aren't they?
Maybe, maybe not. Not all of it. I don't think anybody can afford it. You're looking quite possibly at another $200 per player.
Wow.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. There isn't anybody that wants to talk to the state about that because of the liability.
Well, I thought so. Wouldn't they? What would they just up the line? Wouldn't a company come across with a quote that has a $10 million? David, is this in you're not a litigant, are you? You're not a litigator, are you?
No, I'm not.
But
I
you
didn't.
got to know something about it. I mean, in other words, isn't there a number that's safe?
Where's Les when you need him? Where's Les?
Exactly.
It depends.
Where is he?
If it's
I know
under
he's-
the umbrella, a lot of times it's the policy limits. What is the umbrella here?
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're talking about. And personal injury, I'm very familiar with that. Very familiar with insurance. We do insurance defense ourselves at our firm.
GL.
The
It's
attorney still gets paid. The attorney still gets paid.
GL.
Well, let me ask you something though, Kathy. If you saw if this situation we're in because of what happened in Weston was a real real mistake,
Yeah.
and what I think we hear from FYSA is that the insurance guys are going to pay it, and they might not have. I think we got a $2 million limit or something, and what Greg is saying is it may exceed that. I don't know if it will, but the point is now that the guys that cover these sporting things for risk may start are apparently reassessing that. So now they got to come up with a $8 million $8 million limit or some limit that they feel comfortable with that they won't lose money on.
Yeah,
And finding an insurance company that's going to represent FYSA now is going to be very difficult. It's going to be very, very hard. You might even have to go abroad for FYSA to find an insurance company that will take on the needs of the state as far as having an insurance policy in place.
Kathy, how would any of us play without that insurance policy?
You couldn't.
Yeah.
You got to have insurance.
Yeah. You
I mean,
can't,
that's
can you
dangerous.
self-insure? Could FYSA self-insure?
I doubt it. They wouldn't. No.
Okay.
No, you need a mothership. You need somebody that's going to
Okay.
protect your interests
Well,
because
you need
it
someone
only
with
takes
more
one
money
bad
than-
lawsuit, that state's gone. It would be gone because we're talking about a magnitude of big bucks here. And normally, I don't know how it can exceed policy limits. If you have good attorneys representing the estate, they're going to do everything in their power to just get it settled and be done and walk away. But
Yeah. So the norm is not to litigate beyond what the insurance company has. Huh?
No. You can't
Okay.
you can't go take money from a dry well. I mean, if the state doesn't have, I mean, they may look at the reserves, they may not. But the bottom line is you have insurance for a purpose. It needs to fulfill its purpose of having the policy. If they're going for policy limits, that's fine. They'll get paid policy limits. The attorneys get paid. They walk away, but the insurance then does not represent FYSA next year.
Right, right.
Right.
You know, that's probably what's going to happen. As far as the championship series, in my opinion, when we've had issues down here at CCSA, well, instead of prorating it, everybody just gets a piece of the pie. We're going to give everybody that was eligible to move on. It's going to be a flat rate, $150 credit. Here you go. $300 credit. I don't know if Eric can come up with something like that, but he needs to keep it simple. That's why you don't have to explain to everybody why the TBU got $700 credit and CCSA only got a $200 credit, or you don't have to factor in the numbers. You don't have to factor in the wins, the goals, nothing. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Except that sitting where we do, Kathy, you cannot believe the way an issue gets advocated over by people. It is hard to believe. There'll be at least 40 people saying, "Well, this doesn't make sense. We're still in it, and these guys have stopped, and they're getting the same as us." Well, let's hope. I think that's a great idea, though. I mean, I'd vote for it if I were on the board.
Yeah, just keep
I
it
just
simple.
that's my point, though, about not feeling comfortable with them coming to a elegant solution.
Right, because they don't know how to think outside the box.
No,
They
it's and a lot of times it's fear thinking. A couple people get in there like saying shit, and it's not logical or reasonable, so they get panicked into a decision. So,
Yeah, I
but
can see
anyway,
where-
for our purposes, in the long run, again, this whole thing could very possibly help our members in some way. And here's what I'm thinking. I don't say it's going to happen this way, but we are an established 25-year, 30-year entity that has a set of bylaws and has a whole set of the standards as to how they play and where they play and all of the rules and all of that setup, all of the clerical infrastructure. And I think that as late as it's going to be next year, because all these leagues that have been out there are going to be this and going to be that, I don't know how they're going to fit in there with the insurance scare and with the lack of being able to play right away. So right away, we may get much closer to the beginning of a season, right? Without a real lot of choices for people, good choices. So USA will be reliable. We'll be here. We've got everything going, and we'll be able to absorb any play that we can easily.
Don't let her do that.
So I don't know. I don't look forward to it, or I'm not gleeful about it. I'm just saying, thinking it through for us.
Right.
I think we just stand tall and have all of the things that we have going for us, the length of time, the organization, the board. I mean, everything else that makes for a safe harbor for this season. So you don't have to wonder if the JPSNL league can actually play.
Right.
USA will play somehow. So, anybody else on that? But that's what, to me, is the biggest thing to be thinking about. The second thing is our AGM. What is that in May, Sherry? Greg, Sherry, what is that in May?
What's
Our
that?
AGM here?
AGM?
Yeah, it's in May, right?
It's in August.
No, our USA.
Oh,
Yes, it's May. It's the May
Okay.
meeting.
So one thing we might consider is, Les, how you doing?
pretty good. How are you?
Good, man, good. The one thing we may consider is that we may want to, just a thought, we may want to push off that 1 month. You got to submit the changes a month ahead or by the meeting before that. The reason I'm saying that is we got to take a good look, and I don't know if I'll get it done in time, but in my opinion, we got to take a real hard look at all those playing rules we have because of the plethora of leagues and kids playing on different teams and everything else. And I think some of those rules are just archaic and were really made for a time when USA had 750 teams and was really the only entity playing in this area. It's not that way anymore. And if we want to continue to have elegant play and continue to get people to play, my opinion is we should make it the rules as simple as possible so that we don't have ineligible players all over the place. And I don't believe, as some guys, that we're going to get a bunch of bandits coming in and flying kids in from Lazio and Rome or something. That's not going to happen. Our league is not in that category anymore, where you've got to put a bunch of people in there who are basically, not competitive. Plus, I think our ability to manage that is very high. I think we can spot that in a second. But I just don't think that you've got the incentive anymore in any way, shape, or form that we have got to have these overbearing rules and make so that we're spending 2 weeks at time trying to figure out if this kid is FYSA or if he's CDL and played a game that day. I mean, it's asinine what Greg, the things that we have talked about this year, trying to figure out some of these some of the rosters. And so I think we've got to come up with a slimmer, better, more thoughtful set of roster rules, so it encourages everyone to play without an excess of us having to look up 500 different teams and see what every kid is doing. But we had some of them where we couldn't even find some of these kids. It's just unbelievable. And they are in FYSA, so Lord only knows where they ended up. We had the kids from Central Florida, their Okeechobee area, and I mean it was a real cluster just trying to figure out where they might have been playing. But in point of fact, they were kids that the registrar may have hit a button and for some reason FYSA didn't pick it up. But they were certainly FYSA players, as it turns out. But shit, it took great 2 weeks of work to try and find that, So that's why I'm saying if we've got anything to try and improve to streamline and improve our structure, that we work right to the end, and instead of making it you have to submit it a month ahead, that we look at suspending that rule and making it a week ahead. I think we can deal with almost anything that anybody sends us in 7 days. This group especially. So that's the only thing with the AGM. The only thing to think about right now before we get in closer. So.
And Paul, we've been kind of off our second Sunday schedule,
Yes,
but
but we were.
would that one be the second Sunday?
Yeah, well, let's just keep it at the third. We've had 3 in a row on the third, right? I mean, January, February, March.
Right.
So instead of pushing that back where we have one in 3 weeks, because we ain't gonna need one in 3 weeks, hardly.
Right.
Another month, so let's make it a month from now, and that's, we'll leave it like that. I think. Anybody else?
The AGM date, you're saying?
No, I'd leave the AGM date in May, just, push it back to the appropriate third Sunday or whatever it is.
Oh, okay. So keep it the third. Okay.
I keep spacing them all now a month apart unless somebody else has a better idea. I'm not, I don't run things. You guys do. So if you got a better idea than I do, please let me know and we'll get it done. I just can't see the sense of tightening it up. We're good now. We can go into that and we've got it. This disruption that we're hitting now is really so much bigger than some of the other things that we're going to face, that we really got to keep our eye on the ball as far as a group to make sure that we step back in when things come back, that we're there ready to go at that point.
Yeah, Paulie, this is Mike Connell. I do think that regular communication to the members is needed at this time. I don't think we can go dark. We got to keep talking to the members and updating them on our, on what we're thinking about and what options are available and AGM meetings and stuff like that, because everybody's going to
Mike,
go.
have you been listening to most of this? I mean, do you see what I'm saying about the, redoing this AGM? But I think, did you hear what I said about the play next year? I think that
Yeah.
because we're here, organized, ready, or financed, have clerical people, have all these things in place, that if this thing really starts getting pushed back far, and you can't, well, like what's going to happen with tryouts, for instance?
Right.
You know,
No, that's why I'm thinking that, from the USA League, we need to have maybe a weekly update as to what's happening, where we at.
I agree with you, and I guess our clubs, many of the clubs would actually read that on a website. We should make it more known that we're going to continue to update our thinking, even, right?
Yes.
Even what we're thinking about, because this insurance thing, Mike, I don't know if you were on in the beginning of it, but you may know more or as much as Greg. I mean, you're both big shots with FYSA.
Yeah, right. Sure.
Is the insurance thing any more clear than it was 5 months ago?
No.
Jesus. It's still. Did you hear Kathy talking about? Kathy works with a group of lawyers and has for a long time, so she's got she's got a lot of background in this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And what she's saying is that most of these guys are going to settle at the limits because they can get the money, mm-hmm. rather than holding on and try and get FYSA for another $3 million. But I don't know. Is that the fear? Is that they're going to come after FYSA also?
I mean, I would just say that it's not a clear situation with the insurance.
Do you think it's not clear because they're not telling you what they know?
Yeah, we don't know the full details. We don't know the full details.
But can you imagine if what Greg is saying and the premiums are going to be $150 a kid, when they whacked that on us at the Region C AGM, that's going to be a real cluster, isn't it?
Well, I mean, that's there's no doubt that all the unknowns is going to have an effect on the game of soccer and the numbers, no doubt.
For instance, Mike, who like on some of these other leagues that are just kind of thrown together, who insures the EPNL?
Well, my guess is that EPL is insured through themselves, like they've got their own insurance deal.
How about how about our youth soccer here, the EP, that league, the ECNL?
Well, they'll be all through US Club.
So you think US Club has got a better insurance deal than? I
don't know whether they got a better insurance deal. They just haven't been hit yet. Okay. That we know of, like in a substantial hit.
Well, but wouldn't this be an alert to all the insurance companies that, hey, it's just a matter of time. You better get the minimums up, huh?
No, it's going to be an interesting year. That's for sure.
Boy, that's what I'm telling you. But I think we stay with our strength, us, and try and use that as an anchor for people to say, don't worry.
I agree. And that's why I think that if we have a position of constant information, constant positioning, you are our members, we care about you, we know what you're going through, you know what I mean, and keep them informed, I think that it only substantiates our value in the market.
Well, I think the way you're phrasing that, it seems like we need a guy with a big heart and soft hands, and a guy that really can. And I think Merritt's probably the guy to be communicating with people.
That would be good. Yeah, soft hands is right.
Merritt would be very good.
Merritt, when we can figure out how to make your hands come through the thing and slap guys in the face, you're on.
Yeah, that would be it. Well, Paul, where Mike's going is, we need to push the information. We need to push it.
I agree with you. I couldn't agree more. The only thing that stops that is my ability to to compose it, which is very low.
Well,
Like, Merritt, you look like the guy. I swear to God, you do look like the guy.
no, yeah, no, I'm not.
You look.
I'm not the guy. I don't.
It's not that I don't want to do it, Merritt. I just see that in the realm of my life, to sit down and composing for me is more difficult. I got this massive ADD problem, and to compose things is just unbelievably hard. I do it, but it's difficult. So I don't get it out, and it's not as clean as I like it. I got to write it 3 times.
What?
If someone else, if we're a
If you-
podcast, then I could talk. That'd be fun.
What?
If
But
you tell, I'm sorry, I was gonna say, if you give me what you're trying to say, I can write it. That's not
Okay,
a problem.
Right.
sure, because I am horrible at composing stuff, and it slows everything down.
Well, we know, Paul. We have to read your emails. So
Mm.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
that's as close as I could come to reaching through the video.
Oh, no, I got that one. Oh, geez.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Well, give
So,
it. Well, Paul, give it. And Mike, I'm gonna. You're pointing stuff out like that. Now, me, I have the loop as far as this Weston thing's going on. I don't even know what heck happened down there. But for any of y'all, I think we could all, if we hear something, if I hear something on the referee side or what's going on, and we just forward some of that information and let Sherry, hey, this might be part of a newsletter we send out. Might be good
well, yeah, I
information.
mean, I think
So
we
if y'all
just,
hear
we
from
got
a
to
different
post it on, we got to use a website. And that's the thing.
Yeah, but if we hear things, like Mike hears things, or Greg hears Les, we can just forward that to Sherry, and she can, compose it and put it in there.
Sure. I got it. So she just sends it. She just keeps mass
Yeah.
emailing
Correct.
cogent tidbits
Yes.
of information that seem like they're important.
This is David. One thing I would say though on the insurance and the Weston thing, I just wouldn't even speculate on that. Just wait till we have.
No. As far as it's just
Yeah,
us
yeah.
talking. This is
Address
just this goes no further to anybody else. However, it isn't a secret, but I think we, as far as a position or anything else, or just should. I agree with you. We step away because who knows where this thing's going. But David, you see, one of the interesting things is because it's been months now. This has been 9 months probably since this event happened, maybe more. Or maybe less, but I mean a long time, because you don't even know what the probabilities are. There now will be speculation, but I guarantee you, if for some reason we have a hard time, FYSA, I mean, getting insurance, or the cost of it skyrockets, right? That will be such a shock to people. In other words, you could have told us this was happening. We couldn't have done anything about it, So I don't know what good it does actually now that I think about it. But I agree with you. We just the speculating on the insurance is not for not for publication. But I mean, it's not a secret either. So we're not writing bonds here. So, but I agree. That's a good thought. Thank you. Let's get to let's close this out. Anything else on this? So that's where I'm thinking. In another month we'll know more, and now we'll try and parse out all the information we can possibly squeeze out to see what people are thinking. But I think David and Mike, this goes to really 2 things. One, what's the FYSA thinking, right? Because there are they're our big buddy. And the second thing is, what is U.S. Club Soccer? How are they viewing this? Or have they canceled everything?
US Club is
Okay.
canceled.
That's all shut
So
down.
now
All shut down.
the extraneous leagues that are floating all over the place, correct me if I'm, and this is for everybody, is it probable that these one-off leagues that have been forming rapidly are now going to have a real problem getting restarted whenever it's time to restart? Yes or no? What are they going to continue to market and say, hey, when we're ready, we'll tell you?
Yeah, well, I don't think that going to have an effect. You know, everybody waiting for when the restart is. The question is, when does the restart happen, and how much time do you have before you really have to face the fact that you season has to end.
Exactly.
Yeah, or the other question I think, Mike, is if you're going to put a team in one of those leagues, how well constituted?
Yeah, I don't think that's the factor. I think that'll be fine. I don't think that's the situation.
For all of them?
Yeah, all the leagues under US club will be fine.
Okay.
I mean,
good.
but,
Well,
but the
that's good.
leagues under FYSA may be restructured. But US club, those ECNL, NBL.
When you say some of the ones under FYSA, you're talking about the regional leagues?
Yeah,
the Futures League and all.
The Futures and the FSCL.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Can you guys tell us this? How did that the big league, the state league for FYSA progress this year? Was it clean, easy, good?
We were in it. Under 18 Cyclone girls were in it. We went to a showcase weekend in February and had a center referee. College coaches were there with a center referee. No ARs.
It was a disaster.
It was a joke.
It was.
Something that's supposed to be thrilling and prestigious for the parents, for the players, their last hoorah. It was a joke.
It was a very bad reflection on FYSA.
It was a hot mess.
Yeah.
How about the league itself, Kathy? Did you have many people in the league also?
CCSA probably had about six or seven
Premier
teams.
League? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you were in your Premier League. Your Premier League.
No,
the
I'm
teams
talking about the Florida FPL.
Oh yeah, no. We stayed away from US Club this year because
The FSPL.
NPL?
FSPL.
Oh, FSPL. Yeah, we had about 6 teams involved in it, and the competition wasn't any better than what would run through USA
How about
Premier
the
Division.
organizational part of it?
No, that's a hot
Is it
mess.
still okay? How about you, Mike? You had a bunch in there too.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as Kathy. You know what I mean? We had some good competition in some leagues. The organization was tough. The rescheduling was not easy. We still got games to play that were supposed to be played.
That's over.
So.
How about your guys, David? Did you have some in the league too? You must have.
Yeah, I mean, I only really know about my daughter's team, U13 girls for Braden River. It was actually pretty good. We had 6 teams, and they did a good job of, we did we would do like a weekend over in Palm Beach where we played game Saturday and Sunday.
But only 6 teams in the league.
Yep. Only 6.
So 5 other opponents.
Correct.
Was that enough to play?
Oh, it was fine. Then we have a U.S. club team also, or whatever that FPL or one of those things. That
So that
filled out
got
the
you
schedule.
13, 14 matches?
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple tournaments.
So you had to wire them together in a
Yeah.
sense, though.
Yeah. So it wasn't a bad experience. Good.
As long as there's overlap in these scheduling, if there isn't.
Right. There was like a
That's what I would.
TU team and the Flames had a team and then us. So we had 3 over here and
That's
then
good.
3 Sunrise, Palm
that's
Beach, and
type
Weston.
of thing you'd like to get clear and cleaned up totally to make everybody have dense leagues with a lot of play and without traveling 7,000 miles to do it. And I don't think in the current state we have a chance of negotiating that between all of us. I mean, we head in that direction. I think FYSA would be well served.
Well, I think FYSA had a they had an awakening with the President's Cup because they scheduled, Panama City for one of the sides, and there was a revolt from teams. They were well, many teams just paid the penalty because it was cheaper to pay the penalty to travel to Panama City and in the hotel. So,
Didn't somebody,
so they were.
didn't somebody report,
There was a reorganization of that of how.
do
those
you
things are
really
played.
think that'll happen?
Yeah, I
Mike?
think so.
Okay.
Yeah, there was just too big reaction to that.
And we need to really get a hold of all that information, put it in one spot, huh?
Hey, Paul.
Some of us, anyway.
Hey,
Yes.
okay. In response to all of that, all right, I'm in charge of a competition committee for the state, and we'll be having a meeting tomorrow. And the points to understand is, number one, FSCL and futures were voted last year not to exist or not to happen. Okay, and as far as everybody else is concerned that I've been talking to, that will not happen unless I can come up with a middle ground that is acceptable, first of all, to the competition committee, then at the AGM, get at least a nod that says, hey, maybe you're onto something here. And then obviously B, by the membership at the AGM. One of the things is to go back to a regional format for State Cup and any state competition, State Cup and President's Cup.
Sure.
Remember years ago, you had to fight yourself out of Region C to get to play the other three regions.
No, I get it. I get it.
Okay.
Well,
Nowadays,
instead of doing this now, though, Greg, you and I can talk off camera because this is not USA business. But what we're doing is we're going to start to set up. I thought you think that the leagues would be best to try and pull something together. The leagues become formula, the bottom formula feed up to kind of feed this up to a regional
well,
approach.
that's part of, like I said, that's like the third or fourth item that we can talk to at the executive meeting. If you want me to present that, I'll be presenting it tomorrow night to everybody. So if you want a sneak peek at it, just so you
Well,
understand.
it seems to me, I mean, from what I can understand, though, we're not, the competition committee still really doesn't get it. Now, Mike says they're going to have to do something, so hopefully they'll get him off the snide. But I think we're going to have to go back to the AGM and
What
do the
doesn't
same thing again.
what doesn't the competition committee get? What don't we get?
Well, I don't think it's a total thing. It seems like there's too many opposing
No, that's not
hold
true.
out to the old formats.
That's not
Oh,
true.
really? Okay, good. So you think on the
I
committee,
revamped.
you have a good side?
I revamped the entire competition committee.
Oh, okay. Well, good.
Nobody on the competition committee this year was there in the past.
Yeah, did you get people like Kathy and Mike? I mean, people on the board that
I got
knew
Joe
what else
Nelson.
was going on.
Joe Nelson's on the competition
Good.
committee.
Yeah, good.
Olaf from West Palm, Dave Kemp from up in Pensacola, Soroka, the competition VP in Greater Orlando. In Region C, we got Kai Hoskivy and Marco Raduca. We've got guys that know the lay of the land.
Good.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
And
Well, good. So you think you'll come with a plan out of that?
I have a plan. If
That looks good.
it's something that could be palatable to everybody, but if the competition committee doesn't think so, then I quit. I'm done, because there is no way we're going to get this by anybody at the AGM unless we come up with some way where the leagues, the RVP and the RVPs get to vet the teams that go into this FSCL. I just sat here and heard that the competition there is no better than what we got in our Premier Division. Well, what the hell is that?
Well, One of the things, Greg, is this year, when it was proposed that they kill these leagues, they tried it with an amendment, which was a silly way, a stupid way to do it, but that's all they had to use. And they lost, they needed 2/3 majority. They lost that by like 18 votes. So it was an overwhelming majority that felt that those leagues were extraneous and ill thought out. I still think you got that kind of power in the AGM if it ever comes to it, you know. I still think you can still work because there was such an overwhelming, but that's all. Let's not get everybody involved in this. You and I can talk on the thing. Let's get, is there any reason why we can't close out this part of the, will someone make a motion to close them? Alan,
Make a-
make a
no.
motion.
I'll make a motion to close.
I second.
All right, all in
Aye.
favor? All right,
Aye.
let's go right to the next part. That is that's the, what do you call it, committee, the executive committee.
Executive
It
board.
looks like we got 3 or 4 items for that, right? Have you got minutes to approve, Greg?
Well,
Have you gotten them yet or no?
let me see, hold on. Let's get this out of here. Let's get this out of here. And let's see, February meeting minutes. Hey, look at that. And finally, it's like snail mail. It is like snail mail. And there's something that keeps telling me my internet connection's unstable. I don't get it. But okay, here's the, if you want to look through, first of all, to approve the regular portion, the minutes, they're right there in front of you.
All right, so let's have that first, let's get that out of the way. Let's have a motion from the floor to accept the minutes of the regular meeting last month, please, somebody. Coke?
I'll make
I
a-
make a motion, this is Kathy from Cape Coral. I make a motion to accept the minutes of the meeting that was held February 16, 2020 at 7 p.m.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's get on to the
Everybody says
next
aye.
minutes from the executive board.
All right, here's the executive minutes from last time, right there.
All right, everybody read them. Someone make a motion to accept them, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the FC Tampa.
All
I
right,
second, Les.
Okay,
all right, all
Aye.
in favor? All right,
Aye.
so that's.
that's gone.
All right, protests and appeals, hearings, none, old business, new business, let's get right to it. Discussion on standings, what does that mean, Sharon?
I mean, I think maybe you already actually said it, that, so, you know, as of midnight on Thursday, they are what they are. And then honestly, the 3 issues that had come up, I think now are be a moot point, because they were teams that maybe had one less game, and so they didn't feel it was fair and blah, blah, blah. But now I think that it probably is going to work itself out.
The other thing to remember is in these D2, D3 things that rarely does it come down to the first 2 teams only for promotion or relegation, promotion usually. Because the shifting of teams is so massive now that rarely are only the first 2 teams allowed in. So if you're in the first 2 and you're the 3rd one and you feel that you are, you know, you have put upon because of this virus, then you make your point to us and the board will hear it out.
Yeah.
That's all I can, is anybody else, I mean, is there a better way of handling that, folks? I mean, the only one left, are you there?
Yes.
You're the only one I can see that's probably getting screwed with this system. No, well, I'm serious. You're the only one actually I can see in this whole thing that really has an argument that you didn't finish out and you're within striking distance and, you know.
No, but
Could've been-
I still believe in my group. I think FC Tampa a game or two left anyhow. They probably
I agree, but I
would still
think you're
win
the
that
only
group.
one
So I'm good with that.
that I could see readily that was in striking distance and still had enough matches with the right people that it'd be possible that you could in first. But getting the first will not pay big this year, we don't think, because we will award. Well, FC Tampa will get their money for the president. I mean the state cup, but you're the only one really that is in a position to lose money because of this that I can see. And that again, I believe with you the probability was low, but still there. I don't know of any others that really are in that position. I'll try and look at them as the week goes on and see if there's another situation in the Premier League, especially that looks like that. I don't think so. Right?
Close, but hey.
Yeah. Well, you're within 2 5-point wins. Right. So we got the 19 boys D2, the 15 boys D2, and the 13 boys all have some question or some argument, and we'll take a look at that as we go, and maybe next meeting we can settle it, because the standings are not going to change from here on. So whatever exists today, we'll vet these three, and if Sherry says she thinks they took care of themselves, we'll try it in the next month, take care of it on the level that saying, look, here's what we're going to do. Have you got now? We'll bring this back. Any standings discrepancy we will bring to the board next month with all of the pertinent information. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Anybody?
No, I think it's
I
fair.
think it's fair. It's fair.
I think it's fair.
And we'll if there is a reason to bring it, we will. If not, we'll talk to the club and see if they're if they're not mistaken. Also, a lot of that is that they just don't understand the rules. We do have a tiebreaker. We have a trilogy of things. Do we, Sherry?
I'm sorry.
Don't have 3 tiebreakers in this thing. Also,
Yes.
the points head to head, and then it's
Right.
defensive goals, right?
I believe so.
All right. Well, we'll look that up. I'm pretty sure that's it. So that anybody that's in these things, regardless of how many games they play, that's going to be the argument. But regardless of that, we're going to impose that those 3 things and see how that shakes out. We may not need to bring anything back to board. 2728, the ref abuse. Greg, is that the one where you were trying to get the ref to write it up?
I believe it is that one.
Did he ever write anything up?
I think he did.
Do we have?
I think you sent it to
Never saw anything. Maybe it came to you, Greg. I don't know.
Which game was this again? I mean, what teams?
I think it was
2728.
Northport. Wasn't it Northport?
Yeah, I think it was. I'm not even sure. Greg, we talk about so many teams during the weeks of these things.
I can tell you.
But
I know the one
kept asking us to get the ref to write it up.
He did write it up, Sherry, eventually.
U13 boys D3, Northport versus Tampa Dynamo.
I know we got an email concerning this. I don't know if it was from the ref. I think it was. We did get something from the ref.
I think he finally
Right.
see,
I didn't anything.
what happens is the referees think that Got Soccer is a U.S. supplemental form. They don't think they have to put anything else in but that. And they get real pissy and testy when I write to them and tell them that's not the case. You have to, put the U.S. supplemental report in.
These things look like such bullshit clerical things, but nobody realizes that with the amount of complaints we get, you got to shake them out and get the ones that are serious and that someone can explain exactly what happened, and that person needs to be the center, not a parent, not a coach,
Well,
not somebody that's stopped by to see a game and didn't like what someone was doing. That's what, we just hold the line on that, Greg. I guess they don't understand that.
Yeah.
They don't understand how many of these things that we are wading through.
well, not only don't they understand it, they don't even know where to go find the form.
No.
They were never told that they had to put in for anything violent conduct with a red card or an injury that they have to fill out a form. They were never told that.
Yeah, well, that's Merritt's problem. That's what Merritt's.
Well, yeah, but this is across
Got
the
it.
board.
I got it. They were told because
Well, don't we have?
their research, all their research though was a report section this past year. So I don't want to hear they don't tell it.
It's
'cause
not
it's
that they don't
they
know,
always
Greg.
cover-
They don't pay attention.
No,
to
they
that,
just hit the
right?
button and they leave and they go get something coffee and they come back.
Well, I mean, it's human nature to some degree, Merritt. I think if a guy is attacked and really has his life threatened, if you're going to take the time in the main
Well,
to fill out a
And
supplement.
also their job is to call and contact their referee administrator, not us. You know, it's supposed to go through FSR.
Well, one
for any
thing,
referee abuse.
Greg, one thing we can do though, Greg, I think from USA standpoint, we should get to the team who is the offender in this, right? And tell them that we have had a complaint about behavior at their fields. Now, you're not giving, no one is giving games or anything else, but we should make them aware that somebody at the field has complained. We're not saying we believe it or don't believe it, but if you start getting 10 of these certain places, and we did some years in some places, then you got to believe that some of it's got to be make sense as code. But and I think we can do that though, Greg, and say, we had a report, one of your parents, and you're right. Everybody's got a code of conduct they signed, both the coach and the parent, and this is a break of that code, and we could consider it to be a egregious code. We're examining the information now. Boom, just to make them aware that because some guys, look, I was a guy, I had problems, or I had a team that had problems out in Brandon. I had no idea what had happened out there, the insanity of what had happened, till I got something back from somebody. So at times I think it's good for us that we can contact them. I don't think we're saying we're doing anything horrible to them, but I think we can let them know, even though we're not getting games or no one's written up a supplemental, that we still can let them know that this was a report we got, and would you check it out, and would you keep an eye on it for us?
Well,
right?
Yeah. Well, according to
I agree 100%.
what he writes up, though, you got in Northport, you got hotheads all over the place. Okay, you got a board that can't seem to get their act together, and they're always pointing fingers. And now you got a parent that runs onto the field after the game. And as far as I'm concerned, when you read this, and if Merritt reads this is almost, physical abuse more than just verbal. Okay, the coaches acted as quick as they could to try to pull them apart, but nonetheless, the parents still went onto the pitch and still accosted the referee. So, and this seems to be an underlying theme at Northport.
Well, then, but the proper thing right now is to send this report to Northport, to whoever now is the president, because they have had some changes down there. I don't know if they're good or not, but they have had some changes. And if Northport continues to be not well managed, we have an option to schedule them or not. We have turned people down for scheduling where we didn't think the fields were safe. And
Right.
Greg, we did it. We had a big meeting about it, and I think it did some good. The same thing with Northport. If we feel that they can't control the parents down there for whatever the reason is, and you get 3 of these or a couple of them in a season, but I would make aware they don't even know that this happened. Some of them might have left the field. The field marshal might be gone already. But you let them
Yeah, apparently there wasn't a field marshal there. He would have got there.
know the
before
field marshal to be present, and they expect for it to be, yeah. But, so I mean, we were just telling them, hey, this is something to keep an eye on. And if you have parents like this, they're going to cost you. Going to really cost your club. You can't let them act out like this. I think that's enough till we get something from the a supplemental from the center. And
If
even
I
then,
guess-
who do we go after? A parent?
You got it. Well, you have to go after the
I mean,
club
it's
and the club and the coach.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things
Yeah,
I was talking.
Our authority.
Well, one of the things that I've been in contact with the executive director and the president of FYSA is that it appears everybody is just ignoring the code of conduct preamble to the bylaws, and it's put in there, and they have to have some teeth, but everybody ignores it.
Yeah. Well, to me, that's the classic FYSA problem, though, that you have a lot of rules and you have given us either it's up to us to figure them out and to enforce them, or, there's no standard or anything else. They're just, there's a crap load of rules, and like we're the only ones sending our red card. I believe we're probably only club or only league sending all the red card reports in.
Well, that could be true.
I guarantee you no one else is doing it.
That could be true, but Merritt will tell you if he writes this up and says it's verbal and near to physical abuse, then we have to do something about it.
Yes, but he hasn't. Right? We're still on a.
Well, it's way too late now. It's way. They got to do that within 24 to 48 hours.
Understood.
Yeah. So,
well, I mean, we're past this issue anyway because of what are you going to do to somebody when they come back next year.
I know. So
but I think Northport is one club or one set of people that has had really bad problems. Akai and someone else was down there. I think Mike even might have been down there and went to
I think I've seen more.
So it's not like
Chris asked me more about more discipline on games from Northport, I believe.
I mean, Greg knows the story. I mean, we had a problem last 2 years. We've had a problem each one of the years, and one of them was wacky. I mean, it was like the president of the club told one of the ref that got there 2 minutes late, they already had the game covered, and he couldn't do it, and I mean, it's crazy stuff. So they haven't had good, I mean, from my point, they haven't had good management down there in a while. And supposedly the board changed, and we'll just have to say, we'll just keep an eye on them. That's all we can do.
All
right. Lastly, Citrus United boys dropped out, right?
They did. They withdrew.
Okay. All right.
It looks like they didn't play. They didn't reschedule 2 games that had been closed for field closures, and then actually 3 games. But I didn't know how you would want to handle that.
Same way we did the last one.
I think
what was that, Les? How did we do that, Les?
Well, we FC Tampa was fine.
Yeah, we have 4 games left in USA.
Yeah, so
fine us $500.
Okay.
All right. Yep. Greg, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what's your suggestion on the fine for this one?
So they missed 3 matches, Les. But
They missed.
it's a club that needs to. I mean, they don't have that many teams. They seem to do this at the end of every season, not all the time. They seem to fade with the older teams. it's okay, but then get the games in early. Otherwise, we got to whack them because it's got to hurt.
This is
Right.
14 boys.
What's the-
$100 a game.
What's the total fine here?
Be 300 if it's 100 a game.
And this is something they do all the time?
Well, this club has had a record of having, well, the girls' team, wasn't it, Greg? You see, I'm going back in my
that was-
memory. The girls'
was a-
team finished another one.
Well, it was a Brooksville team that,
It was okay.
it was Brooksville that bowed out after like 2 games.
All right, so.
Well, I think the senator was said, actually Tampa got fined 500 for how many games?
Four.
It was
500 for 4 games.
four.
500 for. It was $125 they got hit for a game.
Yeah, which is.
Actually, Mike, it was five, a total of five. No, total of five. We had it
It
four.
was 100 a game, Mike, so you're back to your 300. All right. Well,
Yeah.
someone make a motion.
I'll make a
I would-
motion.
I would say if this is a constant practice, they should fine.
Well, yeah, anyway, because we told them
You
they got to
gotta
play
be
the games, they
consistent.
haven't played
You
them.
gotta be consistent. The minute that we're not
Now,
consistent, we lose credibility.
here's
If
the
our
other
team's
thing.
been fined in the past,
Here's
they
the-
gotta get
Here's the
fined.
argument you might hear, and we'll wait to hear it. We were scheduling them, and they closed the
No,
season.
no, we're not, no.
Just
Not
saying.
unless you have something in writing before today's date that they were trying to reschedule them. If we don't have anything, it's
Oh,
moot.
okay,
It's
good.
done.
All right. So all in
Writing is
favor of the
everything. You gotta have
$300
stuff in
fine,
writing.
Tetris? All in favor? 300?
Aye.
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 So that's it?
Aye.
All right,
So
So
what are we looking at? 300?
300.
Okay.
So to summarize, it's safe for us to relate to our members or to our players and to our parents that the USA season is over.
Done, right.
Done, okay. And the
And
standings
everything,
are
and the standings go
what it is.
are frozen
Okay,
as of midnight. I think it was Thursday.
perfect,
It
perfect,
was Thursday. Uh-huh.
perfect, beautiful.
Whatever
Okay.
that is, that's what we're, that's what we're left with. We may have a couple discrepancies. We'll bring them forward if in fact there are. I think once Sherry goes through with anybody who has a complaint about the standings or a question, and we tell them, well, here's the 3 tiebreakers. No matter what you didn't make up or made up or have made, all of that doesn't matter now. It's only what you played and only what we got down in black and white.
And
that
I sent the tiebreakers to the USA Game Reports if you
Yeah,
need it.
and I would think, Cheryl, I would think that all 3 of these, these 3 standings will take care of themselves once they're.
Yeah, I think so.
tiebreakers are applied.
I think so.
If they go into the 4th tiebreaker, we don't have an answer for that. They just tied.
Got a coin toss,
Can't play.
coin toss.
Well, you got
Rock- rock, paper, scissors.
goals for, and then a coin toss. That's no big deal.
Well, I think it's just goals against. Right? I don't think it's a goals for. I don't think that's the 4th one.
I thought the 4th one.
It's head to head, goal differential, goals for, and then goals against.
Oh, okay. Well, good.
And coin toss. That's
It
how,
doesn't,
hey,
it
Oh, first
Coco,
doesn't
tell 'em
say
about the-
that, but
tell them about the coin toss, Coco, how Steve got into the national finals.
well, that's. But Sherry, it starts.
That's
with
correct,
points,
that's,
then head to head, right?
it's what I'm sorry?
The first one is points, then head to head,
Points.
then goal differential.
Correct. Then goals for and goals against.
All right, good.
You know, I can, also at the upper level, they actually have discipline points based on yellow cards and red cards. So I think we ought to add that in there. I'm all for that.
Oh, God.
Six-
I'll tell you what, hey, that's a great idea, Merritt, and you could be the one to collect all the cards and add
Well,
all the points.
I gotta write all the memos.
All right, so let's wind it up. But look, the biggest thing is this next month is we've all got to keep an eye on the ball and see what's happening. And if anybody has anything that's substantial or substantive, get it to Sherry and we'll shoot it out to the members. I think officially the season's over. I don't know about how have we gotten any of our John, any of our Mark, any of Mark's scholarships or the USA scholarship applications in.
We've probably got about maybe 5 or 6 so far.
Wait, okay. Well, we got them on 15th. We're not close even. Normally,
Right. They always
We're not gonna
wait till
see
the
anything
last
till the
minute,
10th.
always.
Well, did all the players, the senior players, did they get the information, or is it just going to the coaches to pass it out?
I emailed it to the usual email group that I send things out to. I don't normally do it to the players. I can if you would like.
Can you, do you have that information?
Yeah, I think there's an option to pick who's on the roster. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I
send
usually
it
don't
out.
because it's so many emails and then you get a lot back like, why are you sending me this? But I guess for this, it might make sense.
So we want to give money away to you. That's why we're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I
that's a good
can.
idea. I didn't realize that. I thought they were, okay, good.
Yeah, I can.
I didn't
It
realize
looks-
we had that capacity. I didn't know that.
1, 2, 3, 4. We've gotten 4 so far.
Okay.
I'd put the onus on the coaches of those teams.
Yeah. But I mean, the kids,
No.
you still don't want to screw the kids out of it because the coaches.
No, I
I can
know,
send
but
it. I'll
when do
forward
we
it to them.
are we ever gonna make the coaches responsible for anything?
Could
Well,
try
actually,
all you want.
I've asked many a times, Greg, to start building the stocks at the fields and where we can put guys in your stocks, the head. And nobody yet has come up with a good design for the stocks. And the guy goes in there for the day. He's the fool of the day, right? And he's there in the stocks and everyone walks past him. And then you leave the stocks and let him out at the end of the day, But nobody wants to do that anymore. I don't get it,
I don't get it either.
Ever since the 16th century, nobody's into it,
Well, we're building one for the president of the USA League. So
Well, I'll tell you, I'll go in one and I'll tell you, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut either. People are going to like what they hear going by.
all right. I'll make a motion. We adjourn the meeting.
I
Second.
second.
All in
All right.
favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye,
next-
aye, aye.
Oh, yeah,
Wash
see you
your
next
hands.
month.
Good night.
I'm gonna wash my hands.
Wash your hands.
Watch your hands.
Hey, wash your mouth out, man.
Bye.
All right. Good.
Good luck.
Night.